Because I love music. It's in my head, I can't get it out.
He was also considered, I guess, weird.
I hear it now.
George, give me $2.
I wanted to be an artist just like Stravinsky.
You a goddamn liar.
Ooh, look what I can do. Like, okay.
Something from theory, you would lose the feeling in your playing. George, give me 50 cents.
And I've seen people literally like this. Wait for that next note.
I said, bam, so that's it, man. George, give me a penny. I was sick.
In the mid-1940s, Miles Davis stepped onto the stages of New York City.
Living is an adventure and a challenge. But I've always been the way I am, been like this all my life.
He left East St. Louis with one dream: to play alongside the greatest musicians alive.
If anybody wants to keep creating, they have to be about change.
New York City was alive with the sounds of bebop, a new, fast-paced and complex style of jazz. At just 18, Miles carried a quiet determination. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but his horn spoke with a raw honesty that would soon reshape jazz itself.
On my 13th birthday, my father bought me a new trumpet.
During the period that he grew up in, is still Jim Crow America.
Miles Davis' father insisted that he should not just chase smoky jam sessions, but also attend school. So Miles enrolled at the prestigious Juilliard School of Music.
Miles enrolled in Juilliard because he wanted to learn music.
Juilliard is a pragmatic school or a practical school, which means simply that all the music we study or the students study sooner or later comes out in performance.
At Juilliard, Miles learned music theory, harmony, ear training, classical techniques, and the structured discipline of the European tradition.
He is serious about Juilliard. He's seriously committed to it. And he values what Juilliard might have to offer.
A lot of the old guys thought that if you went to school, it would make you play like you were white.
I wanted to be an artist just like Stravinsky. Just like Stravinsky. He was just a pure artist.
Early on in his training, Davis's music teacher, Elwood Buchanan, advised him to play without vibrato, a technique that defined the sound of jazz musicians like Louis Armstrong. Playing without vibrato made for a smoother and more emotional sound, which allowed Davis to deliver the message of his music in a more straightforward manner. Juilliard gave him a foundation, scales, structures, and an understanding of form that he could bend and break later on.
Miles absorbed that. He absorbed all of that.
But it also frustrated him. The institution rarely acknowledged the depth of black music, blues, jazz, gospel, that had raised him.
You know that Miles was in the back of the room somewhere, and he raised his hand while she was talking. And she said, yes? He said, you a goddamn liar. And walked out of the room.
Miles was considered a genius, but he was also considered, I guess, weird.
Because I love music. It's in my head, I can't get it out.
So you listen?
Yeah.
You're hearing it yourself?
I hear it now.
He always had his own way of doing things.
He felt stifled. He felt the gap between the world inside the classroom and the music that was happening late at night in Harlem and on 52nd Street. Miles would sit in class by day, and at night he'd sneak off to listen to Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie blowing bebop at Minton's Playhouse.
So he used to go at Juilliard in the daytime, and at night he'd be on 52nd Street.
I had never heard no shit like they was playing on 52nd Street. We would go down there and listen in amazement. That shit was so good It was scary.
Each little place had a speaker outside where you could hear what was going on inside.
The fire, the speed, the daring freedom of their sound lit something inside him that no textbook could match. That's the real school, Miles thought.
If you learned something from theory, you would lose the feeling in your playing. I wanted to see what was going on in all of music.
By 1945, Miles was drifting further away from Juilliard's lectures and deeper into the nightlife.
Miles is young and small and can barely fill the suit that he had to wear for these gigs.
Miles found himself in the very heart of the bebop revolution, standing shoulder to shoulder with the musicians rewriting the rules.
Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie are in that band. I mean, you've got the laboratory, the future of modern jazz right there in this big band.
I spent my first week in New York looking for Bird and Dizzy. Spent all my money and didn't find them.
And none influenced him more than the towering genius of Charlie Bird Parker.
Then one night, I heard this voice from behind me say, "Hey, Miles, I heard you've been looking for me." I turned around, and there was Bird.
Parker's saxophone line soared with fire, freedom, and daring complexity. For Miles, Bird was more than just a mentor. He was the sound of the future. Night after night, Miles absorbed everything. Parker's phrasing, his rhythmic daring, his relentless pursuit of innovation. He practiced with Parker, sat in with Dizzy, and slowly earned a seat among the very people he had dreamed about on that train ride.
I liked the way Gil wrote music, and he liked the way I played. We heard sound in the same way.
He realized he no longer needed Juilliard's classroom. His true education was happening on the bandstand. But while Parker's brilliance ignited Miles's creativity, it also exposed him to a darker world, the world of heroin.
I felt like a little boy going with his daddy. I had never felt like that before, and probably haven't felt like that since.
I had a little club in, I think it was Hartford, about the Symphony Sid All-Stars. And Symphony Sid said, "Don't give Miles any money." So Miles come up to me the first night and says, "George, give me $5. I says, "Miles, come on, man." I said, "George, give me $2. Come on, Miles. George, give me 50 cents. Hey, man, you know, George, give me a penny." That's our first meeting with Miles.
The drug that consumed so many in the bebop scene did not spare Miles. Miles's sound, once full of clarity and promise, grew clouded. His relationships faltered, gigs slipped away, and the brilliance that had carried him into Parker's circle nearly drowned in addiction.
I really hated to see him go down like that. But I don't want to talk about it.
We were playing at a club in New York. And his father came from East St. Louis and came to the club and took him off the stage and left his horn and everything. Said, "Come on, you're going back home with me."
On the way home, I told him that I was going to give up dope and that all I needed was a little rest. Before I knew it, I was shooting up again and borrowing money from my father to support my habit. I was sick.
The young trumpeter, who had dreamed of carving his own voice in jazz, now faced a battle for his very life.
If someone could have guaranteed that I would die in 2 seconds, then I would have taken it. This went on for about 7 or 8 days. I couldn't eat.
We wanted him to be Superman. And it just doesn't work that way.
But even in these darkest years, Miles Davis held on to one truth. Music was his lifeline.
Then one day it was over, just like that. Over. I felt better. Good. Pure.
I was in a club in New York, and Miles was at the back of the club. And Miles stopped me coming out of the club. I said, "You going to have a jazz festival up at Newport?" I said, "Yeah, Miles." Yeah. He said, "You can't have a festival without me."
He knew what this meant for him. So if he had that opportunity, as he had at Newport, he was going for it.
Miles put the bell of his horn right into the microphone and changed the whole world of jazz right there, and changed his career right there. Because the beauty of that song and the beauty of Miles's trumpet made bebop a music that could be accepted by everybody.
Miles never stood still. He pioneered or heavily influenced almost every major movement in modern jazz. Unlike some of his inspirations and collaborators, Miles Davis kept his tunes less complex, slower, and more melodic. Miles's trumpet tone was unmistakable, spare, lyrical, intimate.
You know, it's easy to hide with a bunch of notes all over the place. And look what I can do. Look what I can do. You know, like, okay.
Miles embraced space, silence, and emotion. He made fewer notes mean more.
Miles had a way of playing that sounded like a stone's skipping across a pond. He just touched on the waves.
Sometimes he leaves a note out. And I've seen people literally like this, waiting for that next note.
Every note he played, every phrase he chased was a way back and a way forward.
Miles could play one note. I seen like one note. And some of these high rollers that came to the club, these high rollers come like that. It hit one note and said, "That did it for me. That did it for me. That's got my money's worth." And they're ready to leave. I said, bam! I said, "Oh, that's it, man."
Miles would begin the long journey toward becoming not just a disciple of bebop, but the architect of his own revolution in jazz. In the end, the influences, the shadows, and the struggles shaped Miles Davis to be the legend.
Jazzicopedia.